I was born and raised on Polack Hill in Oswego, New York, way up next to McCarthy's Beer Joint, the only Irish bar up there. I lived there for 20 years, so I was married. I married 53 years. I married Tom Benzing, and we have a small hobby farm, it's called, over on Hall Road. We raise champion gladiolas, pumpkins, especially pie pumpkins, a special turnip. We raise our own seed. Our turnips are Macumber turnips. They get this big. They're sweet turnips. They're not harsh. They're not bitter. We raise sunflowers, zinnias, everything else, but mostly the pumpkins and the gladiolas. I was past chairman at the New York State Fair for over 20 years of the Gladiola Show. I was past chairman of the vegetable show at the New York State Fair. I judged the vegetables, I judged flowers. I was past president of the Oswego City Garden Club. So I've been busy a little bit, so I'm hoping I'm retired now. I just planted 10,000 gladiolas on my knees the other day. That's why I'm moving around a lot right now. And my husband married me not only because I'm Polish, they're good workers, but I'm short and I'm closer to the ground to weed plant. And it's true. So you could testify. But anyways, I'm here to talk about strawberries. Talking about strawberries. I would take my glass off sometimes in order to read, but I will give you some information. And I do have couple little paper flyers I'm going to give to you before I leave. First, the strawberry was first described in the literature as early as 1000 AD. And the first strawberry plant that was ever painted was around 1484. The first mention between 234 and 149 BC in writings of Cato, a Roman senator. Early berries before modern breeding were quite different from the berries we have now. They're very small and they were round and they were tougher. Early berries were even white or yellow. They came actually in a lot of different colors. In 235 BC, they grew wild in Italy. In 1588, the Europeans first encountered berries in America when they landed in Virginia. Virginia, there was very well known to have berries there. In 1643, Native Americans were cultivating berries in America. A lot of them around this area picked the wild strawberries, the little tiny ones, and ground them and put them in their cornmeal. And our farm is covered with wild berries, tons and tons of wild berries. In 1700, the garden berries were introduced back to America from Europe. In 1825, production was well established in the United States, especially down in Louisiana. In 1860, they were widely grown in all parts of America. There are different shapes and sizes. Even the berries we grow, they can be like rectangular shape, long shape, round, and heart shape. There's different kinds. There's a berry called luxury. It's a single berry that it still is sold at a grocery store of Los Angeles. And it is so pricey. They sell one berry for $19. So, and they can't keep it on the shelves. Will you do a one berry? I don't really want to look into that, but it's too much work. And they import them from Japan. And it's hard to keep them, on the shelves. Okay, we're talking about shortcakes. The shortcake recipe dates back to the 1588, and it came from an old English cookbook. The shortcake refers to a dessert with a crumbly scone-like texture. There are multiple variations, most served with fruit and cream. I like whipped cream. That's what most people like. And it's either called a cake, a biscuit, like angel food cake, a sponge cake. And our friends from Canada, they knock on our door. We're in Florida. Can Tom make some more tea biscuits? I would like some more tea biscuits, little lady. And in La Trinidad and Philippines, in March 20th, 2004, they made the largest strawberry shortcake. It weighed 21,213 pounds. I, I think you guys should do that. Yeah, there be people that might volunteer, I hope, yeah. And let me find out the cages here. This is what's called, you have kids growing up and they take all your pads and they go to the doctor's anyways. The scientific name is called Fragaria. That's what the scientific name of strawberry is. The fleshy part you eat is actually the stem of the plant. Did you know that, did you? Okay. The strawberry is not technically a berry. Why? Because its seeds, or it's basically a fruit, its seeds are on the exterior. There's no other fruit that have seeds on the outside like that. There are 200 seeds on an average of strawberry. Each one can grow into a new plant if you took the little seed out. It took your time. And they do not continue to ripen after you pick them. Like you were saying, there's white on the top, there's white in the middle, there's white. I got a big discussion at Sam's Club down at Panama City Beach with a lady that was setting up the berries, and like, yo, can't help but talk out loud sometimes. And I said, oh, God, they picked these berries and they're not even ripe yet. Oh, they're going to ripe. I said, no, they're not. Oh, yes, they are. I says, I'm sorry, but we raised berries. Oh, she wouldn't give in. She wouldn't give in. She insisted, but they won't. They pick them too early. One of the things I used to pick for Bob Wow was up in Fulton on Route 3. And the gypsies would come in and they would pick for him, help him, because he had huge field there. And they would they're getting paid by the court. Now it's by the house. They would just go through a pit. They didn't care. Pick. They wouldn't even look. So then they would hide a lot of the bad ones underneath. And so Bob would get them to pay him and off they'd go. Yes, that was not very nice. And the strawberry is really a member of the rose family. And it's, like I said, it's the only fruit that has the seeds on the outside. And it's the first fruit to ripen in the spring. And it's good for your muscles, your brain, your heart, lowers your blood pressure, which I have to eat a quart a day, and helps prevent development of some cancers, they say. In the early 1900s, because of the railroad and the roadways, health transportation of strawberries, different areas from here, especially to New York City, and the areas around here in Scriba are well drained, especially within 8 miles of Lake Ontario. It is very beneficial for the strawberries growth. Some of the immigrants from families over here played a big role in developing the land around here, especially the swathlands. They're very suitable for farming, for everything, but especially for vegetables and the strawberries, in this area. My early recollection, whatever that word is, coming with my parents and my mom, especially, and my aunts, we used to go to Eason's farm. I think it's on Curfew Road. It's Eason. Mr. Eason used to scare the living daylights right out of him. He was a big man. And when you're told not to go in that patch, you don't go in that patch. So we would basically watch our parents pick the berries. He grew sparkle berries. I always remember that. And they were very, very good berries. And I did grow up not very tall, but I was never able to pick berries there. My parents picked them, and people grew up and he had passed away. I remember the Bata Corsi, so that's stand on Hall Road. When we were first married, driving back, you knew it was strawberry season because there were so many cars around there, and their berries, they were always good. I mean, I never had problems with them. I think they sold a lot of strawberries. And of course, I picked for Bob Wallace on Route 3. He was a fantastic man. He always put me on the water line. There was a steel water line because nobody wanted to straddle it. He knew that I would pick the berries the right way and not jump rolls. I'd watch people jump rolls the whole time I was there because it was a big berry. And then the other berries would not get picked. you needed those berries to pick, so every 3-4 days you get new ones. And he actually had truckloads of rocks, stones brought in to put in his dirt, called dirt, because strawberries need them for the heat in order to grow. We don't have to worry about that. We live in Scriba. We live in Scriba. The Ferlitos driving on Kingdom Road. You know, they were busy. They always had fantastic business. And I can't say that I ever really had berries, because whenever he had berries, we had berries. And different, just a couple of berries that we grew right in the very beginning. We grew sparkles. We grew Kents. Kents were the bigger berries. They're a later bearing. And I had a half a field all ready to pick. Bosco's used to buy my berries, and they bought the whole field. And I got up in the morning, I told my husband, I said, somebody came during the night. They stole all my berries, every single one. Then we really looked. I heard a deer went in and ate them overnight. Ate the whole field.
Oh, so
So maybe I was just sick. Just so. We grew All-Star, Honeyoid, Jewel, Cavendish, Mira. Mira is strawberries not only come in different shapes, they come in different colors of reds. A Mira is a dark maroon berry, and you would say that berry is rotten. It's been there for a couple of days. They're so good, so sweet, that there's a gentleman came to our house. He hated berries. I do not like berries. I said, try that one. Almost eating a quart of it, he decided he liked those berries. He just sat, ate one after another. And I had from a swig off, and the guys ever know the Fortino family, and Rocco Fortino, he came out to the house. He was 90 years old. And I said, Rocco, and I said, I've got some nice berries out of the house. Would you like to come out and pick some? Whatever you can pick, you can have. How many quarts can a 90-year-old pick? He filled his trunk. He filled the floor of his back seat of the car. He filled the seats. He filled the front. And he wouldn't take a break. He kept them all out. And he came out a couple of times. I loved him. He was a good guy. But on our farm, we grew big fields of strawberries. And then I really got discouraged when the deer came in. So I took real stinky hand lotion, whatever, because, put plops in between the rows, put chimes, put lights, we did everything. The deer just get used to it. We have these solar alarms now that light up and go ree, 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 and light up red and scares the heck right out of everybody. But we actually buried our berries last year. Because after 3-4 years, the weeds get in there, and I'm picking weeds more than I'm picking berries. And it's hard. My family, they usually come. My granddaughters were little when we had the one patch behind our garage. We just had Emma. She was 2-3 years old at the end, and she would just eat, going down to the row. And then Megan's a couple years older. I wasn't paying heed to what she was doing, and she says, Grammy, I picked all the limes for you. She picked all the green berries. She was so proud. I said, oh, I'm like gonna. But well, I got these papers that I'm going to give you, and it tells about growing berries and strawberry care. And the hardest part, I think, growing berries is planting them. You've got to get them in the ground just so. And it'll show here on the back, it mentions about the crown. Is we usually take a little spade, a little thing, and because I'm short, he'll straddle, puts the marker, and I straddle the row, and I have to bend, and I put the spade, the little shovel in the ground, pull it back, then you get the plant, and you got to spread the roots. Because if you don't spread the roots and get the crown just so, they aren't going to grow.
Yeah, you cover those tops over Kevin.
Yeah, yep. And then you'll get runners. You plant them too?
Huh?
You know how?
We used to have it.
Oh, good. We get more berries. I'll call you up.
Oh, we already got 2 of them.
You can come over.
We get Max or out. Wait, your power be.
And then it tells on here about cultivating, why you pick the blossoms off first year so you'll have more berries the next year. And we never use chemicals.
We used to cut the tops off and then send it very good. Don't make it so it digs any teeth. And you're the keep over 2-3 years.
Yes. Yeah. And we used to cover them with the straw, but straw got so expensive. And so then we just relied on the snow for insulation, and then it didn't snow, and now it snowed and no but then you get runners from your plants, and you put little pegs and you had to set them. And I mean, the best thing about strawberries is you pick them and you eat them. Like somebody else picked them.
Runners to me
Yeah,
is a chore.
it's a lot. Yeah,
You have to break some off.
yeah, yep. I mean, it's really strawberry, like Reeves up in Balletsville. They have a lot of workers. I mean, they get a lot of pickers, a lot of workers, so they can keep up with the production of being around. Because it's just my husband and I. He mostly sits on the tractor. Are you recording this? He sits on the tractor, gives directions. Is that for the ball? Oh, so? Yeah. Thank you, you're welcome. You get what always keep her. The strawberries, I've always, that's one of my favorite. My husband makes the best biscuits. I don't make biscuits that come out like hockey cocks.
Baking powder.
Yeah, he does make him powdered biscuits. That's what he makes. Oh, just like his mother. And he
One of them the frog.
by sure. Yep. And when we had the strawberries going full blast, we would invite you in the house or on our front porch. They had a strawberry shortcake. And we had a lady from Poland, and she's never had a strawberry shortcake. Oh, that was not long ago for our town. And then when we were in Florida years back, we have this friend named Stout. He needed normal friends. He's a multi-millionaire. He has, like, tell you this, I told you this story. Oh, you were normal? Huh? You thought you were? I thought I was normal. And my husband, yeah. He never heard of strawberry shortcake. They had sponge cake. Yeah, and so Tom made a biscuits and oh my, a picture of him. He's got about this high and all the whipped cream on it. But I won't tell you this. I told you the story, but I won't tell you guys the story. What happened? I thought he had a rattlesnake in his bag, but it was whipped cream. The top fell off and it's going. But I won't tell you anymore. That what happened. But anyways, he loved the strawberry shortcake. He couldn't believe that this existed, and the people down south don't know it. And it's Vidalia onion or whatever. They plant onions around the strawberry fields in Plant City. The onions will be sweeter. Believe it or not, they end up getting a sweeter onion. Yeah.
You know, Chris, nice you saying with this, there was always been an expression that you go to Florida. How that either there's always been a discussion from like my parents, and you go to Florida and you know strawberry, that our berries are better than their berries. Their berries aren't as sweet, and they say their berries are better.
No, our berries are way better than was down Florida. I've actually had some. They're as big as the palm of my hand. They're huge, and they're not that really expensive. They have no flavor whatsoever. You use a pound or so more of sugar. I mean, it's no. They're big and they're hollow. They grow for the to be big, and when they get too big, they get hollow. But I tried them like January, February, March down, and no, they're ours are sweeter because of the weather, the rain, and because of the rocks. And like, what was that saying? It's gonna be kissed by the sun, and you have to be kissed by the sun. That's the first time I've ever heard that. First time I've ever heard that.
Chris, how long ago did you grow strawberries for sale?
Yes.
What berries?
Good 25, 30 years. 30 years ago. Yeah, we grew and sold alongside the road. Or else I would go, I'd pick for Bob Wallace and bring him home. And but I'd be down picking, and I hear my husband say, "Oh, Christine," and there'd be a sheriff there with his gun and going, "Oh, what I do now?" They said, "I need 10 quarts." I go, "Okay, it's just pick, And I was the only one that would go in the field and pick. I would don't let anybody because they jump rows and they ruin, especially kids. I never have but enough. My grand, yeah, and my daughters. That's 3 daughters, and
You get those city people that here.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I can tell Reeves berries against Ferlito berries against other berries. The way they look, which ones are growing, and how they stack them in a quart basket. In a quart, I draw a couple of examples of things I used here. In a quart basket, if you really want to get your money's worth, when you're picking, you make sure you fill the corners, okay? A lot of people just put them in and they end up mounding them. If you notice, Toledo's mound, there's a lot. It looks pretty. But Bob Wallace told me, fill the corners. And then to make it look nice, if you're selling them, have the stem, the top part showing. Make it pretty. Don't shove them in there. So I would sit there every quart of berries. I try, actually, you could get 1.5 quarts out of my quart. But if they're weighing them, don't. Now they're filling them, they're filling more. Now the Amish people, like out in Mexico and all those people, they're selling a lot of berries. They do sell berries. They do import them from Pennsylvania. They get tractor trailers like their peaches, and they don't raise, a lot. They do raise, but last year it was all over Facebook. Don't buy the berries from the Amish. They don't wash their hands, and really, how many people can you really? The only time, like, vegetables, I know down in Florida, and the big fancy on them, like carrots. The lady at the farmer's market, she says, whatever you do down here in Florida, make sure you wash your vegetables. Because their workers are so far out in the fields that if they get sick, there's no facilities, for them, excuse me. And they're sick. And they load the big trucks like with carrots, and they sit on top. That's kind of the least of the concern about what's on the vegetables. And they get, they're sick and stuff. They use a lot of chemicals. Like I said, we don't use chemicals at all. I once in a while I have to spray the gladiolas. I lost over 8,000 of them last year because of the weather and the disease. Everybody, like, we watched our tomatoes just turn green, just pop. It was just too much rain last year.
So, Chris, a couple things. The Amish, they're bringing them up from Pennsylvania, from their farms. It's not like they're buying them from a grocery store and bringing them up. But I guess my point was, they're Amish grown. They're from the community.
Oh yeah, oh sure. And the other thing, I had a question for you. Your gladiolas.
Do you sell more of them just by the roadside, or what do you?
I used to sell them at the let me answer this question first. What are gladiolas? Yeah, come this way, man. I can't hear a gladiola.
But the '60s go the hippie from the '60s.
What are gladiolas? What are gladiolas? Oh, they're well. I can have gladiolas stand in the garden. They can be this tall.
Oh my, they're flowers.
They're a flower. Yeah. A lot of people call them funeral flowers. And if they tell me that, I said, they're not a funeral. They're not at funerals. They're at wakes. And as if you go into a wake and you look and you don't want to see who's laying there or see the family, what do? You look up like this. When you look up high, and what's the highest thing? The ground. The air and then whatever on the side, you're seeing gladiolas. There's more roses, carnations, and elder flowers than are gladiolas. The florist put gladiolas in the basket, so it looks like, wow, that's big. I'm getting my money's worth.
You ever ship them to New York? They used to put them in cages.
Pardon me?
But they used to put their gladiolas in cages. You didn't have a full truckload of
Oh, yeah?
gladiolas. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
What's in New York City?
yeah, over at, yeah, the ship, yeah, it was big.
In kegs?
Yeah, they're in kegs.
Yep.
They're capered.
Yep.
Yeah, very familiar. So
Yeah.
if I'm going to get back to what was your question again? I failed short memory.
Well, just actually to go on Bob's thing, you just who are you? Like, if you don't mind, just sharing a bit of your business of who do you ship your gladiolas to, or who purchases them besides those of us who love gladiolas?
I sell them right in my front yard. I have more men customers. I have women. So they're always in trouble. They tell me everything. I tell me.
I answer her question where you're shipping them. There's in your sea, there's a whole bunch of brokerage houses.
Yeah.
But just my question is this. As a sheet, I want to know.
I also used to go to Farmers Market. They'll sell them down there.
Yeah.
But it was bad, bad. The one man it was bad. And so I said I could sell them, do better home. I make flower arrangements. They sell like hotcakes. They're out the door like you wouldn't leave all day long making flower arrangements.
Right from the roadside.
Mm-hmm. And so no local florists purchase your plants? Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
The ones with sweet. Oh, yeah, they good. What colors you got today? And I go out and I said, this. I need all orange. I need all blue. This year I got chocolate and I've got the green ones back again. I've got a new variety, different varieties I got out there. Up on Route 176, where Jacobsons have their farms, the Sheldons used to be a big gladiola farm. They raised them just for the bulbs.
Right.
Yeah. Sam Lazaro used to work there as a youngster, and I wish I would have talked to him more. He remembers them on the screens drawing out the big fans. Yeah. And then how they used to plant. They used to lay down. They used to have thing. The tractor would be here. They'd be laying down, and they have the buckets, and they would be, planting them as they go or pull them and stuff. They got rid of the flower and everything else, but the bulbs, that's what they grew. Well, I don't know if they hybridize them. I don't get into hybridizing. That's a little bit too much work. I just pick out and I just bought 5,000 new ones, but it's a lot easier. Well, I have to dig them up every year.
I'll let you add that to the list. Oh my God.
I have to dig them up every year.
Store them. How do you store them? When you dig up?
The pallets, a wooden pallet. Well, Tom pulls some of the wooden slats. We put chicken wire down.
Oh,
And so we can store a lot and stack them. So I do my own sections, yeah.
Wow.
But during September to October, I have I collect vintage Christmas records, and I play my Christmas music on my little record player while I'm cleaning bulbs. They had to be dry. Pardon me?
Do you mind me asking this question?
Well, it's okay.
How do you clean them? I mean, you're saying, so you have to remove them every year.
Yep.
You have to clean them. You have to stack them, pack them, dry them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, wow.
I'm going to repeat today. When you dig them up, the one that you planted, they're really called a corm, a C-O-R-M. But it's easier to say bulb. You plant the mother bulb in the spring, which we just got done last week. And she grows and grows new babies. And she grows beautiful flower. Now, you pull that up in the fall, you make sure the green's off, and we put them on the screens, and I dry them all out. I'll show you a couple pictures on my phone after. And the mother bulb, you separate her, she grows anywhere from 1 to 5 new babies. Some of the babies can be this big. And then all these little bulbettes, these little tiny things, they'll go all over the garage floor. And the mother bulb, she's done her work, her job. You shoot her away. Even she might look nice, you shoot her away. You keep the new ones. The people in Oswego around, you can keep bulbs in the ground next to your house because you got a basement, keeps the ground warm. Oh, they'll come up for the first few years, but then they'll come up smaller and smaller. They'll come up like glades of grass because that mother's job in life is to kill her babies. So she's underground. She's gotten mushy. That's true. She gets mushy and she kills those little babies. So that's why people say, why all my gladiolas are gone? Did you dig them up? No. Wow. So this takes a couple weeks to clean them. And I put Band-Aids on all my fingers. I take a teaspoon. I had to wear rubber gloves. And you pull the bulb and you got to pop them. You have to clean the center, it's the center inside, make sure it's clean. And I have to line them all up up facing up. Take the time to do that. So that little part dries. If that doesn't dry, if it's fungus over the winter, I do sprinkle bulb dust so it keeps spiders and then whatever else away from the valves during the winter. It was, winter time. Then the spring we start all over again. My husband takes the tractor, puts with the furrows, and I get on my hands and knees and I plant 2 rows at a time. And I don't one here, one here. I alternate them back and forth. So I put 2 rows actually in 1 row. Then they get about this high, and I start hilling them up like you would hill potatoes. You pull the dirt up around. I do at least 7 times while they're growing. A windstorm can come through and they will not fall over. And if they do bend, I can actually stand there, take my foot and press on it and stand straight up. It's a lot of darn work. Oh, a cat. And I was telling them when I show the glads, because all my gladiolas are competition glads, you can't buy these anywhere except from me. These are a certain gladiola. They've all won blue ribbons, grand champions, and there's 31 things that we look for in one gladiola juggling. 31. It's got to be placement, saturation. It's got to be so far off the table. The floret has to be facing the judge. If there was so many 6 to 7 open, 6 to 7 and shown in color, to get count for the bottom floret to the very tippy tip. Boy, it took me, 6, 7 years to apprentice to become a judge. Yes. That's another whole story I'll tell you about gladiolas. And you guys, when my glads are in full bloom, you're more than welcome. I'll come over and you'll walk down the garden. I'll show you the gladiolas growing. I had a gentleman from China that came to take pictures of my flowers.
Heard stories about gardeners and arborists who had people like that come over, but I've never had that one.
I go, oh, there's another one in our yard walking around. So we have 2 trees on our hill. They're an English butternut, and they grow on a canopy. We've had weddings and we've had family portraits or anything there. There's people always taking pictures. So I told him, I said, I can let you take a picture that nobody ever seen except for me. And he's okay. It was right in the highlight of COVID. We didn't know mats or nothing. He jumps in the side by side, and down the field we go. And the sun was just coming up over the trees. And the whole field there, the glands were there, and the tips are covered with heavy dew. And that sun hits, they all sparkle. I don't have a can, oh boy, he loved that. He just click, 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 click. And then he took, he made us all this real fancy food and dropped it to us and everything. It was nice. Sweet. But, I belong to the Empire State Gladiolus Society, the National Gladiolus Society. I competed in single spikes, double, triple, basket arrangements, corsage arrangements, vase arrangements, and theme arrangements. I learned from the best growers, competitors in New York State. When I think back, I was bad. I mean, Mr. Bates, Mr. Chandler, they would come compete in suits. Their gladiolas would be on boards pegged. They were perfectly straight. I'd bring mine in my bucket. Sometimes they have a little curve, but they would stop and talk to me and take their time. And it was amazing that they had me take over all their jars. And they hybridize a lot of the glands you see around now. And I did ever do an interview?
I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I never knew about you. Everyone said take a ride on Hull Road, just see the glads out front. Well, I've taken a ride on Hull Road. I haven't seen the glads. Now I know the timing. And then but has anyone in this area ever done the fairly in-depth interview with you?
I've been on TV a lot. Okay. Yeah. I was there when, what's his name? What was his name? Hoffman, little weatherman. He says, we're going to start here from the camera. As I'm talking, take little steps. I says, wow.
In your fields?
And this one was at the state that Harry cared. Like, oh, man, you're short. And then I had Laura. Remember Laura Han? And she's a very good friend of mine. Her daughter was our princess, and they put a thing in my ear. And I was doing this big interview, and I had the president of the Central Society, Gladiolus Society, and I'm listening going. He says, don't answer the people in your ear. They're in Albert on James Street, and they're going, hello, Christy. I'm going, I'm on TV.
Well, like, but local.
Can't think of her names. Big florist thing. She was at State Fair. She come down, did an interview. I was in the Herald, Journal, American, whatever. Oh yeah, and if I've been interviewed a lot like that. But like I said, I have a lot of people. I've lost a lot of nice people too. I got to meet a lot of ladies and gentlemen that come and yeah, I told you guys the story today that this professor in the college was favorite. He'd come and he'd buy gladiolus and pass them out all to his lady friends. I saw him down Man in the Moon, in the chocolate store. As hi, very politely he says hello. I guess you don't know who I am. No. And I says, I'm Christine, the gladiole person. Oh my God, I didn't recognize you with your clothes on. Because I'm always in my dirty clothes and I was all, laces up like this. And it was so big. Oh my God. Quite funny. Well, I used to let people go out. Well, if you need a certain color, I put them aside if I'm on the porch. I've done a lot of parties. I've done a lot of wakes, funerals, a lot of celebrations. I've had people come to my house and cry. My dad came here every year. He did, and the mother came with the daughters. It's sad. It's very sad. But I got to meet a lot of nice people. Met a guy. He said he drove the car and put it into the river or lake. He drove for Capone. It's a bad guy. I hope I would be. Yeah, okay. And I met famous people that come through. They have record albums out. And like, oh, that's cool, but yeah, I've always liked gladiolas, and my husband bought me first couple years for our anniversary, and then he decided to buy me the balls. It was cheaper. And then there is such a thing. There's tall vases, but we were talking about it's called a fan vase. Fan out like this, you turn them sideways about this big. I have quite a few of them. I do arrangements with them, but mostly I do the arrangements at a house, and I only sell them for $15. People got $15, they fly out the door. I mean, fly. I pay for my trip in Florida. Yeah.
And then don't even ask her about her house. I mean, this woman is multi. She made our wedding cake nearly years ago. She's just,
Yeah, I said do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You get a wedding cake business. I used to do wedding cakes. I used to do cakes. So when I do a lot of artwork, I do watercolors and acrylics. Roy Carter, famous artist in not Rochester, but in Canada, he said, "You're doing everything wrong, but don't ever change." That's okay. But I like acrylics more than I like the other things. Wedding cakes, like Father Smagalski, 2 weeks before his big anniversary, is I need a cake for 250 people. Whoa. And I was retired. I'm not doing cakes anymore, but I do his cakes. He's special to me. I entertain nursing homes and hospitals. My number one thing, I haven't done her in a while. I am a Dolly Parton impersonator. I have met her family, and I've been real close to her, but she's too busy. I've been to her apartment. I sat in her bathtub. I sat on her toilet, and I should say that. In this, I said I met her family, and my daughter usually goes with me. She sings 5 languages and plays 5 instruments. But I haven't done Dolly. I probably put her away for now, but I dress up as a Victorian Mrs. Santa Claus. I am, especially Dolly Parton. She has the big sleeves and the lace. And I did a lot of shows here in nursing homes and hospitals for many years. But now we're in Florida. I signed up with Santa down there. And we went to the VFW down there. And through the Hannah City Beach Optimist Club, we do the parties for the children with cancer. And we do the West Bay School. When they say they get hit by tornadoes and hurricanes, when you see on TV, think 100 times worse. These poor kids. What kid on their Christmas list, the first thing they want is a towel? The mother and father, the mother left them. Kids went in the woods and hid. They never came back. The mother and father. So little Noah wanted a towel, and he says, Mrs. Santa, can I have a napkin or paper towel? And sure, Noah, what would you like that for? I ate half of my burger and bring the rest home. I'm going to have supper tonight. I mean, it's very devastating. It's hard. I have to wear makeup. My eyes don't run and stuff. But I've done a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and as you could tell, you know. But I enjoy life. We fish in Florida. I catch big sharks. I've been in the newspaper down there 'cause I caught big fish. And all the Polish jokes are true. Cham can attest for that. I put him through the ringer. Were there any questions about strawberries? We gotta get off the track here. No wonder.
Once you plant them, you just plant them and you leave them for what, couple 3 years, and then you have to start again.
Yeah, well, you get in because they don't get the berries, they're gonna get runners, and actually the following year they get big berries for these runners, basically, yeah. And they say it's good to, put a new crop in every 4 or 5 years, which we used to, but then I mean they grew on our land, they grow butte.
Well, I've had your berries. They're quite bitter.
Yeah, the berries, I said we have a lot of strawberry shortcakes last year. A lot. But the weeds, it's hard. So like better off to grow them in a plant and probably there go buy them for $1.98. Got all of these right now.
Really?
Yeah. And actually they're from Driscoll's or California. They flood the market in this area this time of year. They're good. Usually I wouldn't buy them.
Always smell when you're buying.
Oh yeah, they smell. I could damn berries for the past thing that right here, berries.
They didn't even they're not putting sugar in them. And she knows about berries too. Because they're good. Everybody here like berries? Has a starts to say. Oh, again. One of my cousins, second cousin, she doesn't like berries. She doesn't like berries, no, really. But some people can't eat because of the seeds. Yes, as there are so many seeds, yeah. And some.
I used to say, bend over to Chris's to get some strawberries, and my sister didn't like the berries. She said, "No, wait, the gladiolas." She couldn't wait to get over there and get Chris's gladiolas.
You're glad, yeah. And then I say, why do I grow berries? Why do I grow pumpkins? Why do I grow gladiolas? This has to mean nice people, you people.
What about the pie pumpkins?
Pie pumpkin?
The actual pie.
There's a difference between a pie pumpkin and a field
I
pumpkin.
knew that, but I never see them anywhere I'm out.
That's mostly we grow are pie pumpkins. The regular pumpkins, when you open them out, you dig them out, they're stringy. Whereas a pie pumpkin, they're more fleshy and more thicker.
More like meaty.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I've
never see them for sale anywhere.
they'll have them like at Walmart, Price Chopper, but they're little.
Oh yeah.
Ours what's the name of them? I'm trying to think what's on the path. Ours, we grow some that are tall. And we grow a neon. And neons, they come from the islands, and if the islands get hurricanes, we lose the seed. And so we didn't have them for a couple of years. With these neons, they'll grow a nice size pie pumpkin. But what they do is they'll grow a green star on the top end, some of them.
Oh.
They're really pretty pumpkins.
I'll have to.
And I used to peel them and quarter them and boil them and mush them. But now I make some slits in the side with knives and put them in the oven at 350. And then they bake them, and then the skin peels right out. Yeah. So, yeah.
You
Saving? No. My kids, my one daughter comes gets some more of her friends, and he makes all these different kinds of seeds. But we don't replant because they are, I'm thinking of the word, can't plant them, they won't grow.
Oh, they're hybrids.
Yes. Hybrids, yeah, that's what I'm trying to think. Some are hybrids.
My neighbor grows pumpkins every year typically. San Campiano and
Oh yes, he is in the Gladiola Society and goes gladiolas. Yes, I got him interested in many years
ago. I always buy them for the grandkids now, and then November comes and they're still sitting there. I gotta throw that over there and put it, out in the field for the deer or whatever. Well, there was one or two that didn't go out there. I'm like, you trust. So fast forward to the next year, under my near my deck. They started growing, and I'm like, oh, well, this is interesting. Let's see where this goes. I never grew pumpkins in my life.
Yeah.
My whole front yard was just covered with pumpkins because I have mow around. Is it funny? Yeah. The worst part was getting my ground back after digging, pulling up all the lines. What I got? I took the pollen. We weren't producing at first, so I read up on that about taking the pollen out from one to the other, and then watching the activity of some bees around and stuff, and then I kinda got pumpkins. I got several pumpkins, but
Yeah, what it did to my wow, yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, bees are important. Like
oh yeah,
Everybody thinks that the gladiolas, the colors come from bees. No, the human hybridizes them. They do grow near the Victoria Falls in Africa, and they're wild. Yeah, come way up here.
I said, listen to too much music in the 60s.
I used to grow pumpkins. I grew like jack lanterns and
Oh yeah. Oh, very good.
I ended up with this kind of pumpkin that I didn't even plant. That looks like a star.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was like
Never know. I mean, there's so many different kinds of pumpkins that are out there that there's a certain kind we used to grow the whole big field pumpkins, and we let anybody go in there for $1 and pick a pumpkin, and the insurance company found out and said, stop. Somebody falls, yeah, you're done.
oh my goodness.
So the sweets what we have, we just sell it on the stand.
Right.
But Tom puts the pie pumpkins out there. But then we grow sunflowers.
Oh yeah.
We grow little ones, the big ones, chocolate colored ones. We grow yellow ones, green ones, and we were fall people like sunflowers. But the other day, you go to plant the little tiny seeds, and the wind goes. There might be sunflowers someplace else. It's kind of like my kids. They used to help us plant. They said, "Do you know how many balls and seeds we threw in the creek when we weren't looking?" Now 3 daughters. Yeah. Any more questions?
Oh, just one little point. If I have strawberries around here will come right home. And we used to ship them on a tractor trailer.
Yeah.
Well, we used to take the bushel cover, put newspaper in it, and put your ass in it. And hold it to the side.
They said,
Compared to the
and like coming way back, when the railroad just came, they would take me dad. They would go to the lakes or the ponds and cut the ice in the winter. They bring them in their barns and cover it with straw or whatever, and a heater. And then when the strawberry season came, they put them on the trains and ice, whatever, and they ship them to New York City. They were like the first people to know, like you said, to do that, to ship. It's you hope and pray and they get there. He's be free. You were involved in it?
Yeah, but we're just on strawberries now. What's your question?
There isn't a question. Except that you were involved in this. I mean, that was your business. That was your greatest.
On a farm, just like
That was your business. I mean, you had a business. That's what you did.
The cows, they have cows.
But the strawberries, you said you were shipping.
The May sale a strawberry fire has
heck, you couldn't sell them all at the row. You
Can't even get shit. Yeah, it's different. Yeah, and one. I cut in one. Yeah.
there's a picture, Jen has a picture of it.
It's a rare business fucked man in your back.
Yeah.
I mean, see that was because when Lycoming had train station there was what we're talking about. So we're going back a while.
Picture out there on my grandparents' strawberry at time, 1929.
Oh, you should all that'd be nice to see.
And there was a rail car in there.
So what year did they start putting them on the rail cars?
Heck, they put them on the rail cars first before they started trucking.
1930s or something.
Yeah, I would say, I think that's what I read about.
My father usually sent eggs out of OJ, my kume, on the train. And that was back in the 20s and early 30s.
That make a wish. So my dad was born in 32, so that would be
The railways coming in, that's awesome. That's my grandparents lived in Hannibal, Klein Coast, and they grew lettuce, onions, and I got a whole 3 cents a bushel chopping onions, the big shears, and this Polish person put the shears on the bicycle handles and he just sharpened them. I went to jump off. Well, I put a hole in my knee. My foolish grandmother put it together. She says, Chris Chop, she says, you can go. Hop onions still. I made $2-3 a week. I thought I was you're rich. But back then, when I was growing up, they had tractor trailers coming in then. And they would, I remember them having all the lettuce all boxed. And they had to dump the whole trailer because the buyer backed out the whole tractor trailer.
My brothers kicked for chopped onions for Patty Hembrock.
Yeah, lots of people say my husband did them this and Hall Road. I feel that this was the stressful. Yeah, I mean,
There's a lot of problem with that. I just I mean, I'm rather in awe of the people that are in this room. They can
all I can say is, what's your first name?
Lori, that can tell these stories. You've lived.
You come over to my house. Anytime I invite me, I'll show you how far it is.
No, I've grown up. So yeah, but the gladiolas is a whole nother kettle of fish. But the history, the living history that's in this room, your experiences, and sharing, Mr. LeMay. Thank you.
I know I'm glad you mentioned that because
I think the agriculture and the farming, it is just humongous.
It's so humongous. So one of the things that this month, I really wanted to do before the strawberry thing was to sort of, we all have friends and people, and perhaps ourselves, worked on the mucks, or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of interesting correlations, between people working on the mucks and we had, migrants coming in. Jay was normal. It was all normal. We all did this. This is, and your experience of shipping, your experience of picking, your experience of planting, my pega or poche. The mucks were, for a very long time, an extremely integral part of survival, like Comey, this whole area. So thank you.
that's what I do. Bob, you need to talk some here on the pumpkins and midday.
I think, to be honest, we don't have anybody. We have anybody firsthand.
Mexico,
Yeah,
right?
but I mean, all the
There,
stuff here.
right, there was really local to this area. Yeah, orchards are gone. But it's it's drinking.
That's what I saw reports. I said, yeah, hey, guys, I play it. When I had typed my what would you see things I was in that guard. Why would it take the hot bills?
So we're just in the me.
Too sad. That
It's
has on.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just so much of that is happening.
But to hear on Chris talk, you understand, and y'all have lived this. The amount of work involved in all of this.
This is pumpkins that I paid at these brands where you have it there. I remember as a young girl able to ride in the back of my grandpa's Chevy truck. All the way from Hale to Oswego to the farmer's market. It was down by the old Agway. GLF, they called it. So it was a GLF.
Fire station.
Yeah, they had the old farmer's market, and Grandpa used to. I remember he had beets and carrots, and he had all kinds of. I used to love that. And I thought I was the coolest person around because I had dirt on my fingernails. So GLF. I love it. Everyone is getting dirty. Oh, it's so cool. Trying to find some pictures here of my gladiolas for you. It looks like it looks like a tornado my outer hair.
When do you start? When the grants?
It builds are there's actually a miniature gladiola. The flowering gets that big. Is it July, August? Yeah, it'll be not in first part of August, middle of August this year because where is it? Because of the we didn't get them planted early enough. We're cool. But to work. Oh, Dilbert. I don't know what the business. My phone's acting really crazy today.
So if I'm traveling to you, what I'm going
Right. How do we be known? Pet cemeteries. Yeah. There's a spirit on Port Mexico and the sex house on top of the hill. It's a great house.
And the cross street's a big warehouse. Okay? Brava right cross street. He has everything out there for sale. He put me out there for sale. He could. She used to work with him at both the way go.